Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome to said sports show. Welcome to Palm Tree Sports. My name is Corey Pujols. I am your host. And as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Saturday, everybody. Thank you to all those who are checking in. I appreciate you all. And we got a few things to talk about. As you guys know, we are not in the hockey or basketball season yet, and there's not a whole lot to talk about there. So we're gonna keep it straightforward with what's going on everywhere else, guys, and that is going to lead us into the realm of the NFL. We'll start things off with Tampa Bay. Got a little bit of information coming out of the NCAA, as today was the first official week of college football, the return of college football. What a beautiful time to be alive. Obviously, we love college football down here in the South. Guys, we got some stuff to talk about with the Rays, and then I'll give you what to look out for tonight on the AEW card that will be showcasing a couple of good fights tonight, and then also the UFC fight night that took place. And of course, as my dad just mentioned, happy Labor Day to all those hard workers out there, including you, Dad, one of the hardest workers. You are the hardest worker that I know. Take a break, man, but I'm proud of you. I love you, and I appreciate you, and I hope I'm making you proud here. Nonetheless, guys, let's go ahead and get it popping over in the NFL. Let's talk about what's going on there. Guys, for those of you who do not follow Tampa Bay, we have a bit of a developing story, but it's not a good developing story. Our number one receiver, Mike Evans, is looking for a new contract, as he would deserve one. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and dive into this real quick. Mike Evans has shattered every Buccaneer record from a wide receiver's perspective, okay? Not only has he done that, he has solidified himself as one of the greatest to ever do it by simply recording 1,000 yards receiving in every single one of his years since entering the NFL, which would be 10. All right, guys, this is his 10th season. He's got 9 of them with 1,000 yards, and he's looking to make it obviously a 10th, and I believe he will. It doesn't really matter where he plays, but me being a diehard Tampa Bay fan, and all of those other Tampa Bay fans out there, I can assure you, we want this deal done, and we don't care what it takes, okay? Whether you got to cut some players or whatever the heck Tampa Bay has to do to retain Mike Evans needs to be done. This man needs to retire a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He is a Buccaneer through and through, and we are more proud of him than we could have ever hoped to have been, especially from when we drafted him back in 2013. For those of you who do not know, he was a star-studded man who played wide receiver at Texas A&M in his college days, and he had Johnny Football throwing him the football, Johnny Manziel, for those of you who do not know, and it's just an absolute blessing to have this man here in Tampa Bay, and we can only hope that he is able to stay here regardless of whatever that takes. That is the hope for us here in Tampa Bay, but that is the developing story with everything that's going on there. It's absolutely magnifying for us right now. We are pretty much glued to Twitter and to Google, just waiting to see what will happen and if a deal will get done. There's not a lot of time to get that deal done, as Mike Evans has set his deadline by week 1, guys. That's week 1 of the regular season. Obviously, we're in the bye week for the end of the preseason as we get ready to roll over into the regular season. But make no mistake about it, guys, Mike Evans is a man of his word. He's taken contract changes over the years very well, including one major one that was to help bring Tom Brady to the mix so that we would be able to win the Super Bowl, in which we did in 2021. Guys, Mike Evans is, like I said, he's one of the greatest to ever do it on and off the field. The man is an absolute phenomenal individual. He's a great father. He's a very charitable man as well, for those of you who do not know. He has his own organization, his own foundation, and I would be ravaged if he left Tampa Bay. Not only that, but imagine the state that Tampa Bay would then be in after losing their number one star on this team, okay? And make no mistake about it, Mike Evans is the biggest personality on this team. And I don't mean that from like an AB perspective where he's, just a crazy person. I mean that from a legitimate household name perspective, okay? If Tom Brady wasn't playing quarterback the year we won the Super Bowl, I would have bought a Evans jersey, okay? And I'm saying to say is I'm no rich man, of course. I can't just go spending money on jerseys. I got kids and whatnot. But regardless of that being said, I'm saying that to say this because I still plan on getting one. But I'm saying that to say this. Tom Brady's my favorite quarterback to have ever done it. So him coming to my favorite team was just that magical. Mike Evans has found himself in rarefied air, from my personal opinion and a lot of other people's personal opinions down here in the South, as one of the greatest to ever do it, and the numbers don't lie, okay? With that being said, that's enough about Mike. The regular season meeting in the first week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be against the Minnesota Vikings. That game is going to take place Sunday, September 10th at 1 p.m. Okay, guys, so we got to play Minnesota. There's no secret Minnesota has one of the best young receivers in the entire league in Justin Jefferson. He's a man that I watched play college football at LSU. I can go ahead and tell you the guy is really as good as they advertise him to be. Justin Jefferson is a gift to football, and he's a gift to the Minnesota Vikings. With that being said, Tampa Bay, let's get this situation resolved with Mike Evans and put it behind us so that way we can focus on the team at hand. Minnesota is not going to go laying down, and that team has a very decent roster put together. I look forward to seeing how this pans out. If Tampa Bay wants to be good, we're going to have to, like I said, sign Mike, put this behind us, play tremendous defense, especially on the outside, and we're going to have to run the ball and control the clock effectively. Justin Jefferson has the ability to score at any given time from multiple sides of the field, okay, whether it's on the left or right, and hell, if they put him back there for kick returns. I know he doesn't do it, but the man's vision is incredible. So don't be surprised if we see Justin Jefferson take on a larger role in the Minnesota offense, but specifically against Tampa Bay due to the fact that Tampa Bay's cornerbacks, yes, we do have a couple of good cornerbacks, we do. But our secondary is still getting used to each other as we only have one safety who is returning from the Super Bowl season that we had just a few years ago. Okay, everybody else is out. Now then, that's what's going on here in Tampa Bay. I look forward, like I said, to watching the game. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go out, so I don't really want to give an analysis. But on a good day, I would like to say that Tampa Bay wins this by a touchdown, okay? What the score may be, I'm not 100% sure. It could be a 31-24. It could be a 24-17. But I say on a good day, Tampa Bay wins this game by defense, just absolutely acting a fool, staying in their lanes, handling what they have to do, stopping the run. The Minnesota Vikings don't have Dalvin Cook anymore, so that's going to be a big thing for us, but their defense is still pretty stout. So, again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. It all depends on how Baker Mayfield plays and if this situation with Mike Evans gets, situated, to say the least. Now then, over to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's a bit of interesting information for you. So for those of you who are not versed in Jacksonville, the head coach for the Jaguars is named Doug Peterson. He's the same coach that was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles when they won their Super Bowl against Tom Brady, using Nick Foles as the quarterback. If I may be so bold, they were given that Super Bowl. In my humble opinion, this is not a knock on Philadelphia or their fans, but guys, let's just talk about a couple of very, very wonky plays. That catch in the back of the end zone that they gave to the Eagles was not a catch. Okay, that's the first thing. So there's a touchdown off the board right there. And then if you look at the rest of the flow of the game, you can see some bad decisions being made on both sides of the ball, but just more so by the Patriots. And I feel like that's what teeter-tattered the game into the Philadelphia Eagles' favor. With that being said, Doug Peterson was not able to really recover after that season, and since he had been let go from the Philadelphia Eagles, he has found a wonderful home here in the Jacksonville Jaguars over there in Duval County. Stand up, guys. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that to your attention is because he cut his own son from the roster. Okay, guys? It's not something that you're going to see very often, but it's something that needs to be done. With that being said, it's incredible to know that this man is that dedicated to coaching to understand, I love my son, but he does not have what it takes to be on this team and perform with the players that I have assembled for this purpose, okay? It takes a man to be able to do that, and it takes another man to be able to accept his father telling him, hey, listen, son, you're not ready yet. Maybe you're ready, but you're not ready for this team, okay? with that being said, my hat goes off to Doug Peterson and to his son. I hope he is able to find a home elsewhere here in the NFL. Of course, there are going to be plenty of teams. I believe he's playing tight end, so there will be teams that are looking for tight ends. If he put something on tape, I'm pretty sure that there will be somebody looking at him, especially knowing that his father is a Super Bowl champion head coach. That matters, okay? Now then, aside from that, the first game for the Jacksonville Jaguars is going to be against the young and up-and-coming Indianapolis Colts. That game is going to take place also, my apologies there, guys, Sunday, September 10th at 1 p.m. So, I want to just bring this a bit of attention to everybody, guys. This is a great matchup early on the season, specifically because the quarterback for the Colts is a very young player, but maybe the most gifted quarterback we've ever seen from the position aspect, okay? Anthony Richardson played football at the University of Florida last year. For those of you who did not know, if you did not watch his tape, let me just tell you like this. When he hits his flow state, he's unstoppable, okay? He's a stronger Randall Cunningham. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. Anthony Richardson is a stronger Randall Cunningham. Okay, so for those of you who had the pleasure of watching Randall Cunningham both in his young career when he was in Philadelphia and then latter when he was with Minnesota. Guys, when he was with Minnesota, he went 15-1. The only game that they lost that season was against Tampa Bay. And then they went to the NFC Championship game and lost because they couldn't kick a field goal against Atlanta, who got washed by 52-17 to the Broncos. All right, guys, yes, I know I'm a little bit of a football encyclopedia. Enjoy these stats as I throw them out. But I only know also because look at those teams. Minnesota lost to Tampa Bay. I'm a Tampa Bay fan. And then, of course, they lost to Atlanta in the NFC Championship game, who was a division rival of Tampa Bay. The reason why I'm saying all of this is because Anthony Richardson's coming out party could be sooner than expected. The Jacksonville Jaguars aren't exactly the best team in the AFC, but they're a damn good one. If there's ever a time for a young player to make a statement, especially coming fresh out of college football, this would be the time and this would be the team. Okay? So, guys, go Jacksonville, but beware. That young fella on the other side of the ball is not like the other young fellas. Okay? He's not. He's built different. His skill set is absolute, and all he can do is get better from here. Unless, obviously, you get inside his head. Obviously, he's a big critique of himself. So, if I may give Jacksonville some words of advice, try to get in his head. All right? Don't try to beat him athletically. It's not going to work. It's not. All right? But if you can make him doubt himself, if you can lay traps, if you guys can disguise defenses, if you can treat him like a young quarterback and you're a seasoned defense, okay, you can win this game, guys. I'm going to go Jacksonville. All right? I'm going to go Jacksonville 28-17. All right? Go Jags. Now then, for the Miami Dolphins, now here's the deal. The Dolphins don't have as much going on as the other two teams. We've talked about this before. Their roster is pretty much set in stone. They have a few injuries going on with, obviously, what's his name? The cornerback. I just had his name on top of my head and it vanished just that fast. His injury is actually healing up pretty freaking well. He should be back on the field pretty soon. They're eyeing a speedy recovery. He said he'll hit the field. He'll be 100%. Per interview from Miami's Twitter. And then also they have a few other light injuries that they're dealing with. Nothing too serious, but Tyreek Hill is good to go. Tua Tagovailoa like he's going to be good to go. They were able to sign Skylar Thompson, I believe his name was, who performed extremely well during the preseason for Miami. So in the event that Miami's up big, look for him to come into the game, show his skill set, and outside of that, there's nothing too big really going on for Miami. Like I said, their roster's pretty much set in stone. There were no major or shocking cuts during the 53-man roster assembly, which is now done all on the same day for those of you who do not know. If you guys remember back in the day, it used to be done later. Not anymore. It's done on the same day. All teams cut their players down to 53-man roster. That was done earlier this week. And again, no shocking cuts. Nothing for you to be worried about. No names to be concerned about. But the week one matchup for the Miami Dolphins is going to be against the Chargers. That's right. Jalen Ramsey is the one that's on IR right now. Thank you for that. My apologies to cut that bit off. But Jalen Ramsey is the name of the quarterback I was talking. His recovery is rapidly ascending, and he should be good to go hopefully very soon for Miami. For their sake, I'm not a fan of Jalen Ramsey, but get well soon, man, because I don't wish injury on anybody. With that being said, though, their first matchup is going to be against the Los Angeles Chargers. One of those. The Chargers, guys. The Chargers. I'm a fan of the Chargers. Excuse me, my apologies there. I'm a fan of the Chargers. I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert. Okay, the guy's an absolute monster. I've talked about him many times on this show. I absolutely love what he brings to the table from the quarterback perspective. I love his look. I love where he played college. Everything about the kid is just pretty phenomenal. This matchup is going to be an early on possible game of the week scenario. Okay, Chargers have been hanging around that playoff bubble for the longest time now, especially since they've gotten Justin Herbert, and the kid's been a gunslinger for them, and they've only gotten better throughout the years. I could say the same thing about Miami since they've gotten Tua Tagovailoa. This kid shows up when he's healthy, and he plays very well on a regular basis. With that being said, that game is going to be Sunday, September 10th at 4:25 p.m. Not exactly a primetime game that you would expect it to be, but still a late afternoon game, which is going to be good because by the time it ends, it'll get us ready for primetime football, which is, it's not as good as primetime, but hey, we'll take it, right? We're all football fans here. We love the game. We love to see what we're seeing, and they're going to give it to us, okay? So, Miami Chargers, Sunday, September 10th, 4:25. I'll most likely be watching that game as obviously Tampa Bay is playing earlier in the game, earlier in the day, I should say, season. What the heck? But earlier in the day, they'll be playing. Same thing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll flip between those two games if they're on. If they're not on, then I'll follow I'll follow the Jacksonville game on my phone and watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. But like I said, Miami Chargers, I look forward to seeing that one, especially at the late afternoon game, 4:25 p.m. So get ready for that, guys. Until then, we are going to go ahead and slide on into our first break of the evening. When we get back, we're going to go ahead and talk some college football, what's going on there with the Gators, Noles, and Canes, and then we'll break off with the MLB and wrap up with what to look at for tonight, in case you haven't seen. And then I'll go over the UFC fight card, which took place earlier today. A couple of shocking upsets. I don't want to say no shocking, but a couple of upsets. But for the most part, the Frenchman really delivered on that. So get ready for that one. Until then, though, like I said, keep it locked here. My name is Corey Pools. I am your host of Palm Tree Sports, which is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys spending time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, guys. Now that we have clarified what's going on in the NFL, let's hit the subsidiary, which would be the NCAA college football that we're going to be getting into. We're going to be talking about the ACC and the SEC, specifically the Gators, the Noles, and the Canes. If you haven't heard us talk about us before, I am a huge Gator fan, so I will harp on them, but I also keep in touch with the Noles and the Canes as well. I respect the Noles. I don't really care for the Canes, so, I'm going to keep it real no matter what, though, as we talk about these three teams. And speaking of keeping it real, we got to address the elephant in the room, guys, which is, are the Gators worse than what we thought they were going to be? I think that's the question heading into week 2. There's a number of reasons for that, okay? You might tell me, hey, Corey, you're being dramatic. It was the first game of the season. You're right. It's the first game of the season. But it's the first game of the season for an SEC team that plays in an SEC conference against SEC greats such as Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee. Do you think that there's room for error now that I've just named 5 of the best teams in the SEC right now? Now, after I've named those teams, let me just remind you some of the other teams. Kentucky, South Carolina, Mississippi, Mississippi State. Okay? These are all teams that are good at any given time, can play for a ball game, and not only that, but be ranked in the top 25. Just because there are only 6 teams in the SEC right now ranked in the top 25 doesn't mean there won't be more by the end of the season or less. But let's look at the average. If you go back and you look at the last 23 years, 22 years, because 23 years ago I think it was Miami that won a national title. If you go back 21 years and you're going to look and see just how many SEC teams have won the national championship. For reference, it's a ridiculous number. You have LSU with a couple, you have Auburn, you have Alabama with a ton, Georgia with quite a few, Florida with quite a few. There's just too many national championships in the SEC right now for me as a Gator fan to look at the University of Florida and say that we are going to win more than 4 games. Now, with that being said, my dad said sticking to a 6-6 for the Gators this year unless the offense improves. That is benevolent of a record, in my opinion. I was going through the Gators' schedule earlier. The Gators have a 7-week-long stint of SEC action, including Georgia, LSU, Kentucky, Tennessee, and South Carolina. That's 5 losses right there. Okay? They just lost to the Utes. That makes 6. Rivalry week is Florida State, which is currently ranked 8th. That's 7. Okay? Now, next week, the Gators are going to be playing against a team that they should be able to beat in McNeese University. Okay? And to be honest with you, I don't even know where that university is at. That is a team that if the Gators are to lose to that team, the season would be over immediately. And I would not be surprised if Billy Napier would be ended up on the hot seat immediately, if not fired. Which leads me to my second point about the Gators. Okay? That loss to Utah just shows us how incredibly important Anthony Richardson was to the University of Florida before he went pro. Last year, Florida and Utah met up in the first game of the season, just as they did on Thursday, and the Gators were able to win behind the amazing play of Anthony Richardson and, of course, the great defensive stand that our team is known for. Now, yes, of course, we're known as a great defense, but defenses can't win you championships inside the SEC. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Great defenses cannot win you championships inside the SEC. You say, well, how is that? Because, defenses win championships. You're right. But the entire SEC plays good defense, guys. Again, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, all teams are going to be ranked in the top 20 in defense alone. And that's just a stereotypical. Every season that's the case. Okay? Having just a good defense is not going to be enough. McNeese is in Louisiana. Thank you for that, my man. I appreciate that. Yeah, so there you go, guys. Florida's going to be headed down to Louisiana. Yeah, I'm sure we're really excited about that, right? If you guys remember how we've played against LSU at LSU, it's not necessarily what we want to hear right now, but hey, you get what it is. LSU is an eternal rival for the Gators, so get ready for that if you didn't know, Gators fans, that obviously we will be heading down there a second time later this season to play the LSU Tigers. Now, with that being said, okay, the LSU Tigers are going to be in action soon. We'll be talking about that. They play tomorrow. But before I go any further, I want to just wrap this up with the Gators. Here are the issues for those of you who did not watch the Gator game. Okay, the offensive and defensive line, respectively, are terrible. Okay, the offensive line is more terrible than the defensive line. The defensive line's correcting can be fixed. All right, the offensive line, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, Graham Mertz looks like a mistake of a transfer. His stats may not say it, but we have to understand something. On the one touchdown that the Gators scored during that game, it was not the best thrown football, and it was one-on-one coverage, and the receiver won. That easily could have been a pick, okay? It easily could have just been an incomplete pass. Shout out to Douglas, the receiver, for making that catch. Phenomenal catch. We still lost the game 24-11, guys, okay? So, I'm going to need Billy Napier's execution to match his talent, because at this point, that's the only other issue. I believe in Billy Napier. The squad he has assembled, I don't know if we can believe in them. Okay, more specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Give the defense credit where credit is due. They damn near shut out the Utah Utes on the second half of the ball game. Again, the score at halftime, I believe, was 21-3. The final score was 24-11, so you get the idea there. But this is a team that doesn't reside in the SEC. If we can't deal with teams that don't reside in the SEC, how are we supposed to reside in our own backyard? That is the main issue here for the Gators and things for people to take in consideration. Okay? So, let's hop off the Gators. Let's move over to the Noles. Now, the Noles, on the other hand, okay, are in a completely different spot than the Gators. Now, the Noles are ranked 8th right now, rightfully so. They have a great squad. They have a lot of continuity, a lot of seniors, a lot of juniors, a lot of guys who are ready to play the game. Okay? But I imagine that whoever wins this game tomorrow night, LSU, FSU, okay, 5 versus 8. Heavyweight slugger contest, okay? Whoever wins this game has an inside track to being ranked 4th in the national polls, as I don't believe that the top 4 is going to stay consistent. Alabama at 4 is a little wild. Georgia at 1 is going to be necessary. Michigan at 2, whoa. Michigan at 2 is being hopeful, okay? I could easily see Michigan at 5. All right, you guys see what I'm saying there? And I'm not saying it because Michigan doesn't have talent. They have plenty of talent, but they haven't reached the national championship game at all in 20 years, okay? Or however long it's been. But you guys get what I'm saying. FSU beating LSU could put them in that top 4, top 5 argument, okay? Contradictory to that, LSU beating FSU would undoubtedly put them in the top 4 this early in the season, okay? So keep this in mind, guys. This game is going to be tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Primetime college football on a Sunday, okay? This game is a big deal. We're going to find out who's for real, or if they're both for real and we go into overtime, or it's a 3-point ball game, or whoever has the football last wins the game. That's what I'm hoping for, okay? That would show just how great of a place college football is in. But right now, at the moment, LSU looks to be slightly better than FSU, okay? We'll see what happens, boys and girls. We will see what happens. I'm not going to give a score on this game just by the fact that these two teams played each other recently, and it didn't quite go the way I thought it would, but then both of these teams got better throughout the season, regardless of how that score ended up. I believe it was FSU actually beating LSU in that game. But with that being said, I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow. The game is, without the shadow of a doubt, the game of the week in college football, and it's absolutely going to be a slobber knocker. It's going to be one hell of a match. So if you're looking for something to watch tomorrow, all right, college football, number 5 LSU versus number 8 FSU, 7:30 p.m. primetime college football, guys, on a Sunday. It's very rare that happens, so check it out if you have the opportunity. Following that game, the Noles have they have a gimme at Southern Miss, next Saturday, September 9th, 8:30 p.m. So what, they have a short week. They have to play Southern Miss, guys. Southern Miss they're not that good. They're not that good, guys. So, rest in peace, Southern Miss in 8 days. 7 days, my apologies for that. But that'll be the Noles' next game. You can hear the excitement leave me. Now, there's one issue that I have with this game. I'm not sure why they decided to put a Noles-Washings, a nobody team at 8:30 p.m. But primetime college football on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening coming your way, guys. Florida State, Southern Miss. I'm going to go Florida State like 100 to zip. It's not going to be 100 to zip. It's probably going to be more like 60 to freaking, my apologies, guys. I don't know, 10 points. This is not going to be one of those close games, okay? In any case, regardless of what happens tonight, I'm going to pick the Noles in the following game against Southern Miss. Now, Miami already played, all right? So, part of the reason why I say Miami for last, I'm not a huge Miami fan. We still don't know who their identity is, and their win wasn't exactly what I would call great, okay? And they played against Miami of Ohio, okay? And they trampled them 38-3. All right, so stalwart defense, of course. Offense was firing all cylinders. But it was like V4 instead of V8, if that makes sense. The cylinders were the running game mostly. As the quarterback, he had a decent percentage, but he threw an interception. Why you're throwing interceptions to teams like Miami of Ohio, I don't know. Maybe that shows that Miami of Ohio is getting somewhat better, but if you only put up 3 points against, the Canes, how much better have you gotten? So I look forward to seeing them play next week, okay? And here's a game that we should be looking out for, is Miami versus Texas A&M. Not Texas Longhorn, Texas A&M, okay? The Aggies. That game is going to take place Saturday, September 9th at 3:30 p.m. So if you're following the trend here, we have Gators football at 7:30, we have Noles football at 8:30, and the early game is going to be Miami football at 3:30 p.m. So if you're looking for something to watch next Saturday, there you go. Miami first, Florida second, Noles third. Other than that, I think I'm going to go with Texas A&M in that matchup. Texas A&M is known for playing good defense, and they're also known for having great coaching as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that hasn't changed at all. I'm going to go Texas A&M over Miami of Ohio, or my bad, Miami, not of Ohio, but the Miami Hurricanes. I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to say the score is probably going to be something like a 45-20 second half pulling away kind of victory there for the Aggies. Now then, that's what's going on in college football, guys. Let's go ahead and take one more break, and when we get back, we'll go ahead and wrap everything up with MLB, what happened in the UFC fight card tonight, and the AEW's collision card tonight. But like I said, college football, it is what it is right now. As we move further into the season, we'll see who's for real and who's not for real. But don't be surprised if Florida State starts making a rumbling, especially if they're able to upset LSU tomorrow night. Like I said, watch out for that game. Primetime college football, 7:30, guys. In the meantime, between time, my name is Corey Pools. I'm your host for Palm Tree Sports Radio. And as always, it is brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked here, guys. We'll be back in a moment, okay?
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That is the man, the myth, the legend, the head honcho, the El Capitan, whatever you want to call him. The man that makes all of this possible, Larry. We appreciate you, my man. Check him out. His show is where I get my notes from. It's where I learn how to do proper interviewing as far as what I'm discussing with the teams, and I learn a lot from him on a regular basis, and I can't wait to be back on the show, talk about what's going on with Tampa Bay when that time shall come. In the meantime, between time, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. I am your host, Corey Pools, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, let's go ahead and get into this MLB action. Here's a little bit of good news coming out of the South, as the Rays have been playing phenomenal baseball for the better part of the year. We've had a few sloups. Yes, these things are going to happen, but we expect them to happen, and it's A-okay, because we are second in the AL East. We have the second best record to boot, and that is always a blessing. The Rays are playing really good baseball right now, guys. We're playing really good baseball. We've got a couple of shutouts in the last few games. We're on a 4-1 run, all right, as it shall speak of, and that 4-1 run only just stopped last night, losing a 1-run ball game to the Guardians. You guys know how I feel about 1-run ball games, and it was always a big deal. I believe his name was James Carter, who talked about it back in the '93 World Series when the Blue Jays beat the Philadelphia Phillies, and he said great teams win those 1-1 ball games. So, Rays, let's get back to winning those 1-1 ball games. So that's what's going to separate us from being a world champion to non-champion, and we've already lost twice there. Let's not make it a third. We don't want to turn to the Buffalo Bills. No hate to the Buffalo Bills. We just remember you guys losing 4 Super Bowls in a row, and let's just say it was painful because you guys couldn't beat the Cowboys. Y'all couldn't beat the NFC East, for crying out loud. Okay, so it is what it is. But Rays, like I said, playing great baseball. Like I said, 4-1 in the last 5 games. Currently in a 3-game series against the Guardians, in which we lost that last game last night. 3-2 was the score for that game. Not to worry though. Rays are still rocking an 82-53 record. That's good enough for top 5 in the league at the moment. And All right, the Guardians are rocking a 65-70 record. They're sub 500 by 5 games, and that's something you like to see, especially when you're getting closer to postseason baseball. Come on, Rays, let's get a win tonight. Speaking of tonight, that game will be already started at 6:10 p.m. So if anybody do me a favor, can you guys put the score of that Rays game in the chat box? I'll go ahead and mention over on the show at the moment, but that game started at 6:10 p.m. So I had already started my show by then, so forgive me for that, guys. But as I mentioned before, this game series against the Guardians is a 3-game series. The next game, which will be the final game in this series, will be played tomorrow, 4:10 p.m. So if you're looking for something to watch before college football, okay, before college football, 4:10 p.m. Rays Guardians baseball, Sunday afternoon, right after lunch. Perfect timing. Kick back, grab a drink, turn the Rays game on, and watch Randy and Rosarina and the boys go crazy, okay? Because I have a feeling they're about to put these 2 games to rest as we get ready to slide into the next series, which will be against the Red Sox. Obviously, a team that we have plenty of bad blood with, to say the least. The Rays and the Red Sox go back since the Rays started playing baseball, really, that is. And they are a in-conference rival, in-division rival, I should say. And that series will be starting on Monday, September 4th at 4:10 p.m. So another late afternoon game, just in case you're getting off of work. Actually, my apologies. Isn't Labor Day Monday? So I guess that's the Labor Day game. There is no work on Labor Day. So that's going to be a fun thing. I look forward to seeing how that game plays out. Of course, the Red Sox and the Rays have only hooked it up one other time earlier this season, if I remember correctly. So here we are going back to, the Red Sox. And right now the score of the game is 1-1 at the bottom of the second. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate that. And we're not friends. The Rays and the Red Sox, we're more friends with the Yankees than we are with the Red Sox. But we're not friends with the Red Sox. We're definitely not friends with Baltimore. Those Orioles seem to knock us out of the playoffs ever so often, okay? So, not a big fan of that team. Same thing with Texas. Texas has a habit of just destroying Tampa Bay when it matters most. But, to say the least, that's about it. There are other teams that we tend to play well against, like the Blue Jays, what's their name? Not the team we're playing now, but the team we just played before this series. Oh God. Anyway, not lately with the Yanks, but you get what I'm saying. There are teams in baseball that we can get along with a little bit more than we can with others. But the Red Sox that's never gonna happen. Okay, there's never gonna be a time where the Rays and the Red Sox are getting along. It's just not gonna happen. It's like the Sox and the Yankees. The same thing there. So in any case, that series, like I said, starts Monday, September 4th. 4:10 p.m. just in case you're looking for something to watch late afternoon. There you go, some Rays baseball headed your way. Get ready for that, guys. Overall, I have to admit I'm very proud with the Rays and how they've handled this season. They've played well, mostly completely throughout the season. Yeah, there's been some hiccups. Yeah, there was that situation with Wander Franco, which is still under investigation. We'll get more information to you guys as soon as we find out more information, but needless to say, it's not going well. And that's not good for Tampa Bay, as that is one of our best young players on our roster. With that being said, let's move over to the UFC. Tonight featured a fight night, a pretty good one at that. It's UFC in Paris, okay? Paris, okay? So, congratulations to Paris to be able to now host mixed martial arts events. Brought out a bunch of French fighters. They all performed well. I think the French went completely undefeated during the main card, which included the main event, which was Ciryl Gane versus Sergey Pivac. I'm sorry, that's a very complicated name to say. But with that being said, that was the main event for the fight night. And as you would imagine, Ciryl Gane with the 11-2 record and Pivac with the 16-3 record, now 16-4. No mystery here. Ciryl Gane walks him down. Showed tremendous takedown defense, guys. This is a very big deal for somebody like him. If you guys remember, Ciryl Gane's last outing was against Sean Jones, the pound-for-pound GOAT and greatest of all time. And he was submitted in the first round via front guillotine choke, okay? It was such a wonderful thing to see Ciryl Gane defend takedowns. And not just defend them, but completely shut them down, okay? So, needless to say, if you haven't seen it, go look at Ciryl Gane. He looked absolutely flawless in this main event, just to show that he's still on the top of the heavyweight division. I'm very proud of him. I'm very happy for France. Like I said, all the French fighters came out and handled business. They all performed very well. Most of the fights ended in finish. Rose Namajunas did lose, unfortunately, but it wasn't by a finish. I think she was the only one who didn't get finished. So, big deal for that, but Rose moving up to 125 didn't seem to help her out very much in that situation. And the young lady. I can't pronounce her name, so I'm not going to try to, but she won, so congratulations to her. Nonetheless, the card was still pretty good from top to bottom. Can't complain. No complaints here. Most of the fights all ended very well. There was one fight that ended incorrectly due to a referee stoppage from a shot that was a legal shot, or perhaps maybe an illegal shot, regardless of how we feel about it. The referee ended it too early. So if you see that, don't be frustrated with it. It's already over. It is what it is. But we get ready to slide into UFC 293, which comes up, I believe, next week. That's going to be a big one. That's going to be Israel Adesanya, middleweight king, two-time now middleweight king after regaining his throne from Alex Pineda in what I would call the greatest knockout in UFC history. And he is going to be taking on Sean Strickland. For what it's worth, I'm not a Sean Strickland fan. I think he's a bigot. I think he's a bit of an idiot. I don't like that. I think he's just a mindless fighter. I think he's like a zombie if a zombie could fight. That's more or less what I believe when it comes to him. He's very disrespectful. He doesn't seem to have a great grasp on how to fight without being an a-hole. So this is something I look forward to seeing, as Israel Adesanya has gone on record to say that he will knock out Sean Strickland with painted nails just to prove a point. And I look forward to him doing that. Y'all know I believe Izzy to be the middleweight GOAT and arguably one of the greatest striker to ever exist inside the UFC. So I look forward to seeing that fight, especially if you're looking forward to it as well. Next Saturday, check that fight out. That's going to be for the middleweight crown, guys. Now then, moving on over to the AEW cards. Last thing we have to talk about for what to watch tonight. Like I said, there's so much going on. The Rays game is already on, so there's that. And then, of course, there aren't really any other games to be watching unless you're going to, or at least from Florida's perspective, unless you're going to be looking out west for college football tonight. And then, like I said, Rays game already started earlier. So until next week, the only other thing I have for you is going to be AEW's Collision card, guys. And, of course, if you're watching pro wrestling, that also means WWE's Payback event takes place today as well. So that would be something to look at. That fight card, it's good. Or wrestling card, I should say. It's pretty good. Nothing out of the ordinary, though. I wouldn't suspect any titles to change now at this point, so don't be surprised if nothing dramatic happens. But until then, let's talk about AEW's Collision card. Tonight, we have Dax Harwood versus Jay White. That match should be a very good match. These are two of the top stars inside of AEW and all of pro wrestling. So with that being said, if you haven't watched any good singles competition wrestling, this should be a version of that I think you guys would enjoy. Dax Harwood, Jay White's going to be pretty good. Ricky Starks is calling out Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Y'all heard me correctly. That's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Get ready for that. We're going to have that expanded tonight. We'll see how that goes, and if Ricky challenges Ricky on Ricky. How about that? If Ricky challenges Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at All Out, that'll be a match that'll be made tonight. So we'll see what happens there. And then in the co-main event of the evening, we're going to have Saraya, Toni Storm, Ruby Soho, The Outcast versus Dr. Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and Chris Statlander. It's going to be a great match. Check it out, guys. I can't wait to see it personally myself. That's probably the match that I'm most excited for, as Saraya just gained the women's champion off of Hikaru Shida in the four women's elimination match. It wasn't really an elimination match. It was actually a fatal four-way, but for women. And it just seems a little bit different because obviously the aspect of those women wrestling against each other is, those are four of the top women in all of wrestling at the moment. So it was a phenomenal match. Congratulations to Saraya. I have a crush on Saraya and Toni Storm. I think they're both beautiful women, and it's going to be great to see them. And this is also going to be an example and a chance for everybody to get to see the AEW's women's champion versus the TBS champion. Okay, so those are the two major women's champions here in AEW. Chris Statlander is the TBS women's champion. Saraya is the AEW women's champion. So if you haven't had a chance to see them wrestle, this is going to be your perfect chance in a six-man tag match that's taking place every night on Collision card. That card starts at 8 o'clock, so get ready for that, guys. Until then, it has been a wonderful time to talk to you guys. I really appreciate you guys joining me here. Larry, Dad, you guys are the best. And that's all I have for you this week. Now, next week is going to be a lot more loaded than this week, obviously, because we'll have the start of regular season football and college football right there on the horizon. College football already taken off, but NFL football will be returning to relevancy as there are no more preseason games. The next game you will see will be week 1, and it counts. All right, guys, so let's get ready for that. Let's get ready for this Rays series against the Red Sox, and let's get ready for the rest of the college football season, which is going to be spectacular. Again, I really appreciate you guys joining me here tonight. Just some food for thought, guys. Spend time with your family. I'm always going to tell you to do that. Family is the most important thing we have in this planet. If you're not doing it for yourself, do it for family. All right? Spend time, call whoever you need to call, love on whoever you need to love on, and meet me back here, same time, same place, next week, 6 p.m., Palm Tree Sports, Corey Pujols, IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, guys. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Peace and love. I'll see you next time, guys.